Hey guys, welcome to the Wild, the Naked Truth. I wanted to bring you guys here today because we are going to have a great conversation with some teachers as they are logging in. We're giving them a little bit more time, but it seems that we have a lot of concerns in regards to the coronavirus and returning back to schools, in which a lot of teachers are afraid of it. A lot of teachers are hesitant. A lot of teachers are seeking a better outcome, and as far as what is going on, and us as parents as well, we're trying to find what is the best outcome for our children, for ourselves, and for everyone in a whole. And it seems like the government is trying to get us back into the economy, and it's all good because I'm pretty sure we all are tired of being quarantined. But we look at the numbers that have reflecting today. Florida got 12,000 new cases. North Carolina got 1820. Virginia got 1,000, was that 57? And South Carolina got 2,374. Now, those are some high numbers. And with that being said, I think the teachers need a platform so that they can speak on their concerns and probably answer some of the questions that you guys have as well. So with much ado, I'm going to go ahead and see if we got Michelle Bethay. Michelle, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay. Michelle, could you let the members of the page know who you are and what state you're representing?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michelle Bethay, and I'm from the great state of North Carolina. I am an educator of 19 years, but I'm currently a program EC program specialist for the public schools of Robeson County.
Okay. And those of you who are in the group that are in Robeson County, you know who you know Michelle very well, and she speaks her truth, and she's going to share with us her truth today. I just gave the numbers for today alone, Michelle. North Carolina has 1,820 new cases just today.
Yeah.
Okay. And I know we spoke a little bit more on that yesterday. Identify how many cases you have in your in Robeson County.
Robeson County, as of yesterday, we was at, I think it was 1852. And every day, because they opened up more testing sites, we're anywhere from 20 to up to 60. Like one day this past week, we had about 60 something in one day. Robeson County is a very large county, especially land wise, but we service many small cities. So for us in Robeson County, it's really not a lot, but then again, it is because, like I said, we have a lot of small towns. And so right now they have it separated. I should have written it down before we got on here, but they have it separated by the small towns, the numbers that they have. And right now, with Lumberton and being as big as it is, than Fairmont is, and Fairmont's almost got as many cases as Lumberton has.
Wow. And those of you who are familiar with Fairmont is a little small town that we always consider like maybe got one street light. So that's a small town, honestly, and that's a lot compared to Lumberton. So what is North Carolina doing in regards to returning back to school and, getting the kids back into, I guess, a new normal?
Right now for North Carolina, the governor made a decision that he would leave it at the individual district discretion. So each district the school boards would make the decision. A lot of them, after he spoke last week, a lot of board meetings were held. We had one for public schools of Robeson County, and we actually tabled it until we could get some more information, especially after speaking with the lead doctor for Southeastern Regional Medical Center, which is the only hospital that we have here. And she gave some factual input that when the board came out they went into a closed session, and then they came back, and again, like I said, they tabled it. So now they put together a committee, and I am the EC representative for that committee, and we've been meeting every day trying to put things in place. And so what it looks like we're going to be doing, which the board will vote on it on this Tuesday at the board meeting at 6:00, is that we're going to go remote. at least for everybody, grades K through 12, at least through the first 9 weeks. And then after the first 9 weeks, they're going to make another proposal where we stagger in various grades level.
Okay. Okay. So I know yesterday we had a teacher on when we were speaking. She was from Florida, and unfortunately, due to family issues, she wasn't able to log in with us today. But she had identified that, you know, I think Florida and North Carolina, honestly, I think you guys go back sooner than later. So therefore, you guys are trying to get a resolution to this situation, ahead of time. One thing a lot of parents is concerned with is those when you do virtual teaching, they have the issue with kids being home, those that are underage that are going to have to stay home to do the virtual teaching, in which they don't have themselves jobs that are at home. Basically, they are essential workers and still have to go out. So what is it that North Carolina is doing for that type of situation, or is that type of situation any a part of the conversation?
That situation is because we've had various questions come up about it, and basically what they're doing is, you know, it's really a no-win situation for everybody, because of course we can't please everybody. For those parents who do have to go to work, they are working on getting Wi-Fi, making sure that the internet is accessible throughout the county, which is pretty hard because, Casey, you know, coming from Robeson County, we have a lot of rural areas. And within rural areas, you're down dirt roads. The majority of our children do ride school buses. So they are working on internet access. They have 10 new Wi-Fi buses. And what those Wi-Fi buses will be is they will be positioned in various parts of the county. They will run on a schedule. We don't know exactly where yet, but they have had those buses out. They work in various areas. Well, they work everywhere, but I think there's 2 areas that they've already that they know that they're not able to pick up servicing yet. So they are working with a couple of internet companies, trying to get some contracts to get them to help. They're going to do with remote learning. They know they're going to have to do 1-to-1. So at some point in time, teachers go back to school August the 10th. The kids' first day is August the 17th. I don't know if that will be pushed back based on the decision on Tuesday to give them time to get these devices out to make sure every kid has a device. Surveys are still going out to parents to get information. We're asking them, please fill them out. Please be as openly honest as you can, because if you don't have internet, let us know you don't have it. If you need, for them that can't get internet, they're looking at doing mobile hotspots as well. So it's a big conversation, and they are definitely working on trying to get things in place. But again, I mean, it's just hard because, again, this is new to everybody. Even though we started in March, we've had, the summer, but we have worked tirelessly trying to figure out. Nobody thought that we'd still be here where we are now. We thought that it would have gotten better, but it hasn't. And I don't see it getting better. I actually believe that in the next couple of weeks, when when the governor comes back and speak, I think towards the end of the month, I wouldn't be surprised if we go back to phase 1.
Wow. Yeah. I think phase 1 is actually going to take place in a lot of states as the numbers are rising. I was looking at the Worldometer today, and I was like shocked at how high the numbers are. And it's only 3 or 4 o'clock in the evening. So at the end of the day, that's going to be even higher number. Like I said, right now, Florida is at 12,000. And yesterday they was at 10,000. Ever since, I think, last week, they've been high. North Carolina is rising in numbers as well, which is a shock, because I honestly thought that, the phase that you guys were in was actually working. What do you think is causing the high numbers? Is it people getting too comfortable, or people not believing that the virus is real, or, because the government and teachers and everybody have different says on what's going on? But of course, numbers don't lie. The data is not lying. So what do you think is causing the high numbers in your state?
Is that to me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. For us, people just not wearing masks. They're not wearing masks. They are just really, they're not taking it serious enough, I don't think. Now you have, like I see Walmart now, Lowe's, you have quite a bit of places now that as of this week here have made it mandatory for everyone to wear masks. So that should have been in place once we went on a lockdown. That should have been in place. But I just think it's the fact that people are not wearing masks. People are not adhering to the guidelines that CDC has put out. And it's you know, the numbers are going to spike more, I believe, once our children start getting out more, especially if they have to go back to schools. I think that will make a huge impact on where we end up in the next few months beyond the first 9 weeks. But I just really think it's because people are not practicing social distancing. People are not wearing masks. They just not taking it serious. They're just not taking it serious.
Right. I think so many people who have not known anyone to contract it and or, you know, have not contracted it themselves feel like they are immune to it. So therefore they are running the streets and as if they don't have it. The worst case I've known about was the asymptomatic, the ones that have it and don't have any symptoms. You know, and I think Florida now, honestly, they have had a spike in children having it. And that's more of their concerns about the children coming to school if they open up with it. And, you know, the teachers have to take. Now, I know we spoke yesterday on transportation for North Carolina, because when I lived down there, it's far, far away from, I guess, I don't want to say civilization, but far away from the city part. So in the country, they have to have buses to pick them up, to take them back and forth. So if they was to open up, they have to look into, like, I guess, preparations if the kids are tested the bus or before they enter into the school.
Transportation piece is a biggie for us, especially for our regular ed population and our EC population, because you have transportation provided in two different divisions. And again, because we have so many rural areas, we have to worry about buses. CDC has said that we can only have 23 on the bus, and that includes your bus driver and your bus monitor.
Wow.
What we were told. So that means you only have 21 kids. And if you only have 21 kids, and like you said, you have a child that is asymptomatic, parent does not know, child has not exhibited any symptoms of any kind, and then this child gets on the bus, there's a possibility that this child has infected everybody. Then they go to school, they test, they may have a fever, they may not. Symptoms may again spark, and it becomes a major issue. Now you have a whole busload, if not a whole, could possibly be a whole school, a grade level, depending on the child and the symptoms and the other people that have, that could possibly contract it from that. And then our EC population, that's just another major issue, because with that we do contract transportation for our EC students. So they ride, they have companies that they contract out with. I don't know what they're going to check into to see if those drivers, how often they're being tested, what's been in place for that. As a parent, I would be livid to have, especially a child that's possibly severe and profound and having to be transported by someone in that manner, and I'm not knowing what their health situation is. Then where does that leave me with my child?
Right.
So it's a biggie.
And I think that right there is where honestly start, because there's a lot of preparations that needs to take heed, with that being the fact that this virus is as deadly as it is. And, teachers are actually quitting their jobs or taking FMLA because they have underlying health issues in which, if they're being forced to go back to work, they are fearing what could possibly take place because of those situations that you identified. So what do you say about the teachers that are fearful of going back to the classroom setting?
Well, I can tell you, because I'm not going in the classroom, I'm fearful. I don't have to go in the classroom, but I do have an office. My base school is a middle school. I service 4 schools. And we also did a survey, and that was one of the questions asked in our survey is whether we felt safe going back to school. And from what I gather from the results, well over the majority of teachers said they did not feel safe if they had to go back to school into a classroom, especially with children. We know every household is different. Every situation is different. And we would like to think that everybody is following the guidelines, but we know they're not. And so teachers that have underlying health issues. We also have teachers that have children at home. So the decision of how we return to school affects everybody. It affects every staff member, every parent, every child. And again, regardless of the decision you make, everybody is not going to be satisfied. It's just not feasible to please everybody. Daycare, I know, is an issue for a lot of parents because if they were to do a staggered or what we call a hybrid schedule, if you have daycare, the majority of daycares require you to still pay whether your child is there or not. So there are parents that would be having their kid in a daycare one week, home the next week, but then at school one week, home the next week, and then they're still having to pay daycare, which is, right now, financially, everybody is in a rut.
Right.
Economy is, it's just everybody is being affected. There's just no feasible way to handle any of this. And I'd hate to be the sole decision maker, which I know it's a group, it will be a board of people, but I would hate to just be that person that has to make the decision because one way or the other, there's going to be some disarray. And so we just would hope that people know that we've taken every situation that we know of that has been brought to our attention, every person's issues. We are thinking about all of our babies, the safety of all of our staff members into account with whatever decision that will be made.
Right.
I believe that safety is of utmost important. Yes, we need to get back into school. Yes, we need to still be educating, but whether that shouldn't depend on whether your child is in school or not. That should be going on regardless, because there are things that parents can still be doing with children. They can still be reading. They can be doing, math. I heard one of my teachers told one of her parents when she talked, and the parent was like, well, I don't have internet. What can I be doing? And she was like, you have a high school student. This would be a time to work on basic, adult skills, adulting things. Has your child registered to vote? Does your child have a bank account? There's just different everyday living skills that every child needs to know that parents can be working on beyond the basics of, what they would be getting in school. And then the basis of reading, writing, and math, everybody can be, working on that. Children can read and broaden their horizon every day.
Right.
So there's that can still be going on at home that, would make a difference if they were in school. But just because they're not in school does not mean that they cannot still be learning.
Right. So basically, the parents have to honestly take accountability and help out as well. It's not only the school's responsibility in teaching, especially in this situation at hand. I know someone who has small children and also work from home. What do you suggest as far as if they do the virtual the virtual learning? How do you advise them to do so when they have to work and now also monitor small children as far as being on a laptop or a computer system or sharing that time frame? Because I'm not familiar with how the online learning goes, but I think that, is it like a certain time that they have to be logged on, or could they do schoolwork after work hours?
Our typical day last year when we went out, Casey, was 8 to 3. And all they said is you didn't have to be on there all day. Teachers needed to make themselves available from 8 to 3. Now, granted, there were times that that did not work. You have teachers parents that work second shift. You have parents that work 8 to 5. And then time is better for them. So that's when a teacher has to tweak their schedule to accommodate the needs of that child, because we know education is individually, regardless whether they're a general ed student or exceptional student, regardless of the issue. And so we did have a lot of parents that work beyond, a lot of teachers that work beyond those normal hours to accommodate parents. But at the same time, if parents don't tell us, meaning when teachers reach out, and we know, for those, I can only speak for what happened from March through June. And that was parents, it was thrust on us so fast. It was like, we were told today, you got 2 to 3 days. That's it. And, you're taking your stuff home like you're not coming back. And we honestly did not believe that we were not going to go back, but we didn't. And so you had a lot of teachers that did not get things that they needed. But in a sense, it was thrust on parents as well. And we were, we're sympathetic to the situation as long as we know. But, we got to still meet us. Our goal is to meet children where they are. But parents still have to meet us halfway, or meet us. It's really 100% on both parts. I won't say halfway. Meeting, helping us help their child get the things that they need, make sure they have the things that they need. So therefore, one of the concerns was I had, like DSS, they usually work 8 to 5 or 8 to 6. And so they come home. I know they got family to take care of. They have this, they have that. But at the end of the day, those are still their children. What are you willing to sacrifice to make sure you work in 8 to 6? Because even if it was a typical day, a typical situation, and we were not dealing with COVID-19, your child would be in school, you would be at work, you still wouldn't get home to, 5, 6 o'clock, sometimes 7 o'clock.
Right.
You would be doing work with your child then beyond what the classroom teacher was doing. So, the only difference is, if we're on virtual, parents that work all day, what are you going to do with your child? But then I go back and I ask the question, kind of playing devil's advocate. Well, they've been out all summer, which they would have been out whether we had COVID-19 or not. Who was keeping your child in?
Right.
I know it's hard, and we don't want to be hard on parents by no means, and I don't want anyone to take it that way. But it is about accountability. And as educators, we are held to a very high standard. Whether this child comes in knowing or not knowing, we are responsible for what the outcome is. But then parents, on the other hand, have to be held just as accountable, because you need to piggyback and add on to what we've done, and vice versa for us. The same thing that you want us to do with your child, you got to help us do the same things with your child.
Right. And that's honestly, it's the truth. But I think a lot of times, especially, I hate to separate age brackets of parents, because anybody my age, their children should not be in elementary or middle school. I'm just going to do that. But, to each their own. So I look at a lot of the parents, and I see that the struggle is not only to keeping up with the assignments, they also have the struggle of students not having the proper equipment at home. And I know if there was a threat, and I say it's a threat because it has not been identified if it's capable of being done, that if they don't let the students go back to school, that they're going to cut the funds. So with that being said, if they cut the funds, are those funds related to providing the laptops or the equipment that is needed for those students that does not have those equipment at home, or is that anything to provide to the students?
I can tell you, I can only speak for what I know from my schools, and within my schools, our students have access to their own. They would have their own device. I think I'm almost 100% certain in saying that if we were told right now that in order for us to start remote, every child would need a device, it would be able to be provided to every child.
Okay.
I think we always have money, backup money, especially for technology, because at any given moment, we know that technology is the way of the world. What we're doing now, who would have ever thought that 10 years, 20 years ago, before
Mm-hmm.
we would be with technology, that I can sit and I can talk to Casey on a computer. You know, who would have
Right. Right.
at the same time? So who would have ever thought that? So because technology is the new wave, it's been this way for a long time. It's nothing new. We, as parents, because I am a parent first, even though both my children are adults, I have grandbabies, I still say as a parent, we have to prioritize what is important. We buy our children a lot of wants when
Right.
the need for some type of technological device in the home is of essence. Just like I can remember back in the day when I was young coming up, it wasn't necessary to have a phone. You know, if one person in the neighborhood had a phone, everybody had a phone. Now a phone is a necessity. And
Right.
so I look at now having electronics that children can work and do on, and I'm not saying just a cell phone or just the gaming system. Children need to have some type of iPad, MacBook, laptop, and and I know families struggle. Don't get me wrong. Every situation is different. But again, it goes back to prioritizing what do I need for my child, or what does my child need to have to be successful. And right now, internet, a technology device, books to read, a place to study, a quiet place to study. Those are necessities for children, because, you know, we haven't even gotten to the mental health piece of it yet. What's that going to be like for not only our students and our staff, but what about our parents and, you know, things that they've had to endure? People have lost a lot of things. You know, a lot of people have lost their well-being because of COVID-19. So I can understand, you know, where the mindset is. They want the school provide, and people think the school has so much money and we do not. But for us to get started with where we need to be, I would be 100% certain in saying that all of our children would be able to have their own device. And it wouldn't be if there are 5 kids in one home, that one household, because those kids are on different levels, that they'd be able to get a device to use. That would be made possible. And again, the internet is always going to be an issue. But again, too, that's prioritizing for parents. What do I need to help my child be successful? What can I do as a parent to help my child? So it's not just put on the school. It's not just put on, you know, the government. It's not just put here, because we didn't make COVID-19.
Right.
We didn't come up with it. But it's going to take a collaborative effort in order to make sure that it doesn't cause our children to drown. And that's what we don't want to have happen.
Right. Right. Has any parents, what are some of the parents' concerns that other than the things that we already spoke on, has been brought to your attention, that you can probably put some clarity on? Because I do know a lot of parents is unaware. They're just really, you know, just like we have a question here where one, it was, what about children with IEP?
I've been waiting on that. As a EC person, like I said, I've been in EC for 19 years, and I am now a program specialist. And those who teach EC know exactly what a program specialist does. That's going to be tedious, and we are working on trying to figure out, because your general ed, your EC kids that are in general ed that they may have a learning disability. We have some high functional autism kids. Your other health impaired, that mean they may have some type of medical condition. They have ADHD, they may have ADD, maybe your if they have like some OT or PT concerns. Most of those students should be able to function at home. Your very low learning students, when I say get into your students that are intellectually disabled, your ID mild, your ID severe, or ID moderate, those are the students that some of them could function, but then you have some that need that one-to-one, and teachers are going to really have to think outside of the box. It is definitely going to take a collaborative effort with parents, because a lot of times it's hard to just keep our babies, keep them their attention. And I actually had the opportunity to watch a little bit of a video for our extended school year, which is still going on. And a teacher was actually doing it with one of our EC babies making up time for extended school year. And for those don't know, extended school year is when our children there's a possibility that they're going to regress between getting out of school for the year, being out of school for the summer, whether or not they're going to regress. So they have the opportunity to go to take extended school year. And so within that, this teacher, it was 10:30 at night. And this teacher was working with this child. You could tell that the parent was involved. The child was focused. I can't remember what the needs of the child were, but I know that the child, it was a self-contained student, and this child the teacher was so engaged with this student that you would have never known that they were not sitting face to face unless you did not see the computer that was there. And then, hear the communication that was going on, the teacher working. So, it takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of planning, and teachers will work just as hard as the students in getting it. Again, it's just going to take parents helping us out with our babies that are that fall into these categories. They can learn just like everybody else. It's just a little slower. It's in their own time, in their own way, and we have to make it work. We have to make it work. But as far as our kids with IEP, you can best believe that is the scale. And I know that our district is working really, really hard to make sure that things are in place when our babies get ready to start on August the 17th.
Awesome. We have another teacher that had just popped in on us. Shasha, that's what I know you as. Could you go ahead and introduce yourself and what state and schools that you are, the state that you're representing as far as being a teacher?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Shasha, and I am in Durham, North Carolina. I am an EC teacher, self-contained, which means my students don't leave me. They're with me the entire school day on the high school level. So typically high school students switch classes, but my students don't. They are with me for 7.5 hours a day. Here in in Durham, our Board of Ed basically decided we will not return face-to-face. We will do remote learning for the first 9 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, which it's relief. However, as Ms. Bethea can totally relate with a special needs student, a lot of what we do is physical manipulation, hand over hand. They need repetition and they need us to model behaviors. So that is challenging. Although it's kind of weird. Like, although I'm relieved that I don't have to physically be there and possibly be exposed and bring that home to my family, I am worried. I'm like, okay, so how am I going to address behaviors over the computer?
Right.
Help my student understand. Yeah, so I can just go on and on. You just got to stop me.
Well, I think that's what a lot of the parents of students in the EC program or ECI program, that's their concerns. And I do know, like I guess it's called autism, with the students that have autism, the breaks that their parents was getting was submitting, the children going to school. So a lot of fear comes into play because in the household, not only for the women that are being abused, there are children being abused. There are also children that are not eating properly at home, and the best meals that they were obtaining was ones in school. So
yeah, that's one thing we did do here in Durham and many different places in North Carolina. When we were first shut down, they were providing initially breakfast and lunch, but it was like one time a day. So there was like a certain time of day. These huge school buses loaded with food were going to certain neighborhoods where the students can come and receive meals. So we were, I'm really proud of Durham trying to really take a preemptive strike and just really still help the families and the students. So yeah, we don't know if we're going to do that again, but yeah.
Okay.
Now I can piggyback a little bit on hi Shashan, how are you?
Hi.
I am our district still is doing the summer feeding program as well, and it's from 11 to 1 p.m. again because we're not as big as Durham. Shashan, I got my start in Durham Public Schools in EC in 2001. That's out, yeah.
Oh my goodness, we gotta connect. I'm at Southern High School, but okay. I'm at Southern High School.
Oh, that's where I started. Southern Durham. Yes.
Small world, guys. Small world.
world.
From New York and one to know from North Carolina.
Yes.
Okay.
Please tell Mr. Leathers and Coach Starkey, Miss Mathay says hello.
Leathers, Starkey, Bingham, Campbell, all of them. Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Mrs.
But to
Thorpe, you know
piggyback-
Mrs. Thorpe, right?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
Martha
Yes.
Thorpe. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sorry, Casey. All right.
But to piggyback on the food thing, we have been doing the summer feeding. They were doing it during the time we were out, and they had a lot of satellite places set up at the larger schools, and parents could go and pick up. But what I do like that they do is that they give them lunch, a hot lunch, but it would also include breakfast. So parents would only be responsible for their dinner. So like I took my nephew the other day and didn't even know that's how it was done. You just go through like a little drive-through. They don't even count the people in the car. They say, how many meals do you need? And you get the meals. They were hot. The service was awesome. And then we get to the house and he opens it up and then he actually has breakfast. So I thought that was really, really good that they are looking out, you know. They're looking out. They're doing everything they can, and we know that school was a safe haven for a lot of our babies. So that was a safe haven from the various types of abuse, from not being able to have full meals. So I clearly applaud the public schools of Robeson County and any other district that is doing the feeding program, because we know that the majority, 1 in 4 of every family is living in poverty. And so we know what that's like. And regardless of what assistance they get, kids should not be held responsible for what the parents do not do when it comes to providing their basic needs. But I will say, Shashawn, and what you were saying, even with the EC piece of it, what you need for your self-contained babies, my hat's off to you. Self-contained teaching is a calling, but EC is a higher calling, and self-contained is a higher calling. It would not change the field of work and education that I'm in for nothing in the world. Is probably one of the most rewarding jobs. Those babies love on you regardless, and I love that about it. But you all are self-contained teachers, are to be commended. And I know that you all have been working hard trying to get things put in place. I am an EC program specialist, so I'm over 4 schools, and I only have self-contained at I have it at 3 of the schools. One of my elementary schools doesn't have that, but it is a lot of work. Those teachers put in a lot of time with those babies. Like you said, it is hand over hand. It's a lot of hands-on activities, period. And then when you have to look at 2KC with a lot of our self-contained kids, they need extra related services. Like they have OT, they have PT, they have speech. We still have to figure out what related services is going to do to get them the services that they need. It's going to be hard with our EC period, but when you talk about our OCS, which is our occupational course of study students, which is in between our students, our general ed EC and our self-contained. So you have our occupational course of study, and those children earn their diplomas based off work hours, either on campus or off campus. And if we're remote, how are they going to do it? How is it going to be monitored? We just have teams within our district that are broken into groups working on every bit of that. And like, I'm just a 10-month, but I've helped work through. It's not about whether or not I get paid to do it. It's that I know it needs to be done. We're going to stay ahead of the game because a lot of us opted to continue to work through the summer, to work on issues like this, because parents that have students with IEPs, I know they are concerned. I know they are. They have more than enough reason to be, but I want to assure them, with Shashawn being right there having my back, that we are doing everything we can to make sure that they have what they need whenever they get ready to start school.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, I know a lot of families is very appreciative of that. And I myself, my kids are not in, school during this COVID-19. And I do think, on the opposite side of the EC, we have the smaller children, if they're saying that they go into school, everybody has to wear masks. Concern, because small kids barely can keep their clothes on. So, what do you guys feel as far as those types of students and those teachers that have to deal with that, and your concerns regarding returning back, if possible? I do think, I think Michelle had identified that where she's located, they're going to do, was it 9 weeks or 9?
The first 9 weeks we were do completely remote. And then after the 9 weeks, if the numbers do not rise, if there's not a big fluctuation in numbers or, going up, then we're going to start just staggering in grade levels and going from there.
Okay. So with based on numbers, but as far as your concerns as with these smaller children going into school, what do you feel about, or how can you help the parents understand? Because parents is going crazy. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, because they feel like if they have to choose between their children's lives or their livelihood or their money, and it's making it so much that they're basically having to force their children into in their mind, well, not even in their minds, but also worldwide, because it is a hazardous situation. The most concern, the EC, is it ECI or is it EC?
It's EC.
Okay. Concerns those children, but also the smaller children, because I do know that there are some kids going to the daycare, like you spoke earlier, Michelle, which I'm more than positive that are privately owned. So therefore they don't have to be under the public school concept of how to handle the situation. So they could probably sanitizers at the door, kids walking around with gloves on, however it may be. But what about the small children to being sent back to the?
Well, I know, we talked yesterday to Onika from Florida. She talked about they're required, and I can't remember if that's how they said our hand sanitizer. I meant to check on that yesterday, that it had to be touchless. I mean, they understand. We just do have working paper towel holders, toilet tissue that's actually on a roll, and you're talking about touchless hand sanitizer machines, temperatures being checked in and out, which would require you to have medical staff. And I don't know how it is in Durham public schools, but we have one nurse that manages more than 5 schools. She does good to get through all of her schools in 1 week, if that is even possible. I don't even know, and hearing the head person for the hospital speak and saying, if our children are allowed to go to school, if they're forced to go back to school and these numbers spike, the hospital wouldn't be able to take care of the basics of their needs, let alone start getting kids coming in droves that are just sick. She told us they would not be able to handle it. So within a school system, in dealing with, asking them to keep on a mask. I'm telling you, I have anxieties. So it doesn't take long for me to say this mask gotta go. So then I know I need to go home. I can't be out anywhere because I can't. They're hot. They are very uncomfortable. You go do what you need to do and get back. It's not like you need to be outside, playing in it and doing what you do in it, because it's just very uncomfortable. But at the same time, can you imagine, Shashan, our self-contained kids having to, that's a battle we don't even want to face.
No,
we're not ready. Ready. And then when you deal with our kids that have autism and they have issues where touch is
they have that's what autism is.
Oh my God. No,
so that's touching. That's going to be behaviors.
Yes, it's going to spark behavior.
I personally don't think our children, I don't think any of us should be back into the schools, and this is just my view, until we have a properly vetted vaccination.
Yes.
Now I say this because my grandbaby, my grandbaby will be 6, she's going to 1st grade. So the last few days I've been taking her out with me with her mama's permission. I put a mask on her. Because Lord, my daughter, Lord. But anyway, I put a mask on her because I want her, this is before we had the news that we would be closed for the first 9 weeks. I was like, I have to prepare this baby to wear this mask. So, and I had never seen her with the mask on. So I put the mask on, we go into the store, and she is completely distracted by this on her face. Like, it's just with her. she's just, and she's really sweet about it, but she was like, Mama, the mask itches, or the mask.
Mm-hmm.
She's just so distracted. And so I was thinking about her in this classroom setting with that on her face. That talk about inequity and in inflicting or distracting or in disturbing a child's learning process. That alone is whatever all these educational mandates are right now, but the mask alone violates every mandate, me personally, as far as education is concerned for a student, because it's such a distraction. She could not get her mind right. And just a brief trip into Family Dollar. It was a brief trip.
Right.
In and out. And she just could not, like, she didn't cry, but it was just a total distraction.
Yeah.
Right.
And I had my two grandbabies. They are now 6 and 3, but at the time they were 5 and 2. And I took them, I had to go to the store, and I really forgot that when I left the house, of course I didn't forget they were with me, but I was like, God, I gotta run to my mom's. She needs something. I'm gonna run. Immediately when I got out of the car, I was like, I gotta take them in the store. They can't even sit here in the car with the mask on. Can I imagine what they're gonna do in here? Especially the baby, not wanting any parts. So that was the one and only time that I took that. I actually did not go in the store. I just said, no, Mama, I have to get what you need after, leave them with you, and then I'll come back to the store. They were not feeling it at all. And I've had them some cute little cartoon masks made. Talk to my daughter, they don't know where they are. And I think they may hide them on purpose because they don't want to wear them, but she works, so they're not really out and about either, so they would have to, but I can only imagine. And then you talking about them, and then you at a high school with them, and you have them. It's hard. I don't want to wear that mask, and then the teacher got to deal with that. You can require them. I mean, we require a whole lot of stuff with dress code and everything else, and kids don't have it. You can make it a part of dress code, but that doesn't mean that they're going to follow it. And then you got to
don't follow it now.
No, you have to worry about your kids that are asthmatic, like my son is. And
we're gonna send half the school body home, because they're not gonna follow.
As soon as he gets hot, his body gets overheated, he gets very agitated, it's this and that, and there you are with a mask on. And he takes the job, and he's required to wear it every day, and he comes home and it's almost like he's worked a 12-hour shift and only worked maybe 5 or 6 hours because he's had to wear that mask. So I think the mask is, like she said, a complete deterrent for teachers being able to teach. They'll spend more time fighting battles with using a mask as rubber bands, dragging them, pulling them off other people's ears, slapping everybody with them, pulling them over their head.
I have students in my class that probably suck on their mask. Like, they're probably going to suck. Put the mask
suck on. Yeah, yes. I can see kids doing that.
And that's just not easy. Yeah, like the little kids,
Yeah.
I just really think we just ought to wait until, again, I want to reiterate, a properly vetted. I'm not down for taking anyone's vaccination either. However, in order for us to get a semblance of order and kind of normalcy, I really think that is essential first. Yeah. To do that. I also had an idea about how to school day, because I was afraid that we were going to have to go back. So I was going to share, we had a big EC meeting last week with our EC director, Dr. Bell Bethea, Ms. Bethea, I think Dr. Bell. Yeah, she, you know her?
I think so. I think I do. The name.
So she had this meeting last week, just kind of discussing what EC is going to look like and everything. And I had an idea if we were going to have to go back and they had tossed around this idea before, but I was like, I really thought it out. And I was like, we need to have an A day and B day. If they're insisting that we come back face to face, we have students come on an A day, some students come on a B day, and then my daughter shared, she was like, Mommy, why don't you all just go back 4 days a week and Friday be the remote day? So like, A students go to school Monday and Tuesday, B students Wednesday, Thursday, Friday's remote for everybody. That way, it's only half the student body, half your class present. I'm thinking about my classroom. I have 10 students. Not comparison to the gen ed students. Geez.
Right.
But I can properly space them. At least we can get that space thing going. More control. Exactly. Hopefully they can keep the masks on. Again, more control. And that I was like so ready but then they came up with this with the whole 9-week thing. So I was like, okay, good. I can save that idea for later. But I figured that would save the school system money as far as transportation, because that's another piece that parents are probably thinking about. How am I going to get my kid to school? Do I want my kid on this one bus loaded down, no social distancing, no spacing at all, to get to school?
Well, now transportation, there are stipulations that CDC, and we talked about it before you got on. They can only have 23 on the bus, and that includes your bus driver and your monitor. So we're already in the brink of money because we know buses don't have monitors on them. So that means we're going to have to hire somebody. And then what we talked about with transportation and what we have is a reentry team that came up with the plan that we'll present with the board on Tuesday. Was you would spend the transportation director talked about, if you only put 23 kids on a bus, 21 students, because you have the bus driver and the monitor, which would make your 23, you would spend over half your day transporting students. By the time you finish getting everybody there, then it's time to start back with the loading of taking everybody home. So really and truly, you'll be using more manpower and really not saving money, even though you're cutting the cost of doing an AB day, because your buses are still running every day because you're having half the students on them. So we looked at the hybrid schedule, the AB day, and then that's when the daycare part factored in, where when daycares, parents have to pay for daycares whether the kids go or not. So A week they're in school, B week they're going to daycare, but parents still having to pay the daycare for a week. So that we factored that in. We looked at every bit of this, and our district was like, where we are right now, and we are very poverty stricken. No, we're going to just go with remote, and in the process, we're going to continue to plan to move forward towards the hybrid schedule, which would start with staggering in our kindergarten and then working our way up. Because I truly believe, Shashawn, that 6th through 12th grades could be remotely all year long, and as long as they do what they need to do, meaning students are accountable, parents are accountable, because teachers are going to be held accountable. Because right now, I've told some that they had a little vacation, a free paid vacation from March until June, because even though they were turning in teaching logs and things were getting checked, I know that people checked out. I know that it was easy to put on there where I called a house and couldn't get anybody. Well, as a program specialist, I couldn't go through and call everybody on your list, but we were getting phone calls too where they were not getting teachers were not reaching out to parents. So
our principal, we were having weekly staff meetings, and he was like, look, you people need to make contact.
Yeah, you got to make contact.
He was not playing,
But what they are saying for us is we will know also Tuesday whether or not teachers will report to their classrooms, and that will be that accountability piece. So where you come into work. So that's our other piece, because a lot of teachers want to go, especially really your lower level teachers, because their manipulatives are in their classroom. What they want to work with their kids is in the classroom. With you all, what you need to work with your self-contained babies is in your classroom. But again, how safe is it going to be if all three of us are there? We're on the same hall, and I'm not knowing that Shashawn has gotten sick all of a sudden, doesn't have any symptoms. She comes to work one day and gets Casey, and I see it. And now that whole wing has to shut down and quarantine. So now I'm out of teachers. I don't have anybody now to teach them remotely. Where am I at? So we looked at, when I tell you we looked at everything, when they came up with a plan, we played devil's advocate, and we had to tear it apart to show that it was not going to work. And right now, the only thing that we can come up with that is just feasible, but really not feasible, because you're going to hurt those working parents, like Casey said, the ones that don't work from home, that they must go to a job, but remote for the majority of us will work if we work collaboratively. It'll work.
Yeah. And what I must say to the parents who are online, and any other parents that you know of, get familiar, please, with Google Classroom. That's what we started using in March. We started using Google Classroom, putting assignments on there. So I did some videos and posted them on there. They had us do this whole training on Canvas. So I'm not sure. I don't really understand Canvas yet. I don't know if that's embedded in Google Classroom, or if that's a separate thing. But yes,
it's totally separate, and it's a little more. It's a little tedious. I think our EC babies, our general ed students would probably be fine, but our EC babies would struggle with Canvas. Google Classroom is what they know. There's not too many kids that don't know what Google is because everybody is going to Google now. So, but our teachers were told that everything needed to be put on Canvas. But then when we brought it to the forefront, give them a choice to use what works for their students.
Right.
Because you've not seen these kids since last year, and a lot of them, if they move from from elementary to middle school, of course you won't see them anymore. So if Google was all you did, and now this new teacher that they're getting is Canvas, that's going to be like completely brand new to them. And so some of them were already transitioning over to Canvas. Now Canvas is good, and the teachers can get logged on, like the EC teachers can log into, get added into Canvas, just like they could for Google, which is a good thing. So you can have dual learning going on, more or less your inclusion, your co-teaching model would really, really work. But it takes the collaboration of all stakeholders in order for it to be successful. But it can work.
Yes, Michelle, thank you so much for saying that. Collaborative.
Yeah.
Yes, parents, please, the teachers, we are in a partnership.
Yes.
For baby. Please, a partnership. And we're people too, we're humans too. We make mistakes but it's just be patient with us, because a lot of us are trying to figure this out. Like Canvas, and is nothing, against you or your child or anything like that. But we just really definitely need you all to be our partners in this endeavor, in ensuring that our children, your child is my child too.
Yeah.
Our children get the education they have the right to and deserve. So yeah.
When I had Casey, I know you're gonna get some more stuff, but when we did our district meeting, our weekly meeting for our program specialists, 3 things our director said that you have to get the parents to buy in is parents want to know, can I trust you with my child? Are you willing to build a relationship with my child, that professional relationship with my child and myself? And then what are you willing to sacrifice for my child? Me as a parent, I see that as top notch, because I will tell anybody, as long as I worked in the system, and when my son was there, my children are 10 years apart, I tell them all the time, I am a parent first. I'm a parent first. Teachers, we're all in this together. We are fighting it, but I gotta see, we get to see it from both sides. So I am a parent first, and I want to make sure that my baby, I always wanted to make sure that he had everything he needed, and that's that accountability from me. What am I doing to help the teacher help my child? And if we can get parents, and I can say the majority of them do, if we can get parents to just get on board with us right there, what can I do to help you help my child? That "my" is a big part, because I tell them all the time, I say, hey, you do realize this is your child, right? Started with you, right? I mean, I have to go there sometimes with them because they want to put it all on us. And I'm like, okay, well, what did you do? What have you done to help him get beyond this? And then you can open up that door and they really see, like, she genuinely cares. She genuinely wants what's best for my child. It's not about her just teaching, going to work every day, getting. She's genuinely concerned. If we can get parents to get there with us, and I can't do the halfway to 50-50. I need you 100%. I need you 100% to buy in and know that we are in this together. That's what I need.
Casey, I saw a question about our schedule.
It looks like somebody had posted, will teachers have an exact schedule, or will it be fluctuated?
I'm not sure. Yeah, we were told that the principals have to make the master schedule.
Make them.
And then we'll know. So we don't know yet.
Yeah. Because I can tell you, based on the thing from last year when DPI sent out the remote learning, they sent out a plan. They always make up something and they leave it where it can be tweaked. And our district did, where our elementary school was 1 hour a day. Our middle school was 2.5 hours a day, and our high schools did 4 hours, because that was 1 hour per 90-minute block, because they have most of them on block schedules. So that's how they set it up. But they've told us that it will be different. We don't know what the difference look like. If DPI is going to mandate another schedule and they get to tweak it or what. But I know that schedule, they can be flexible because that's on the teacher. If a principal tells you your schedule is from 8 to 3, it's fine that your schedule is 8 to 3, but then Michelle doesn't get off work until 6 o'clock and she needs you at least 15 to 30 minutes in the evening to work with her to help her child. Because you might have already been on with my child, but he can't come back and explain what you did. So I need you to help me. You know, a lot of these parents have not been to school in a long time. And you got children in third grade doing algebra. I can't help them. You know,
I commend all of you guys because, oh Lord, looking at the work of the younger students, I'm like, the algebra, trigonometry, all of that.
Yeah.
I'm spelling. I'm looking at words like, whoa, that's not the words that we had. So I definitely
get the words.
So yeah, parents being able to help the kids is a big piece of it too. And we tell them if there's something you don't understand, we understand. Just let us know. We can't help you help your child if we don't know that you need help. As an individual teacher, have you considered community homeschool learning?
What is community homeschool? Is that kids coming into my
home?
I
just know what homeschool is. I don't know what community homeschool.
Would there be children coming into our individual homes?
That's what it sounds like. I do, but I think it might be like maybe 4 or 5 people in your neighborhood just coming into your home to teach them.
No, I don't.
Okay.
It's just, for the benefit of my own family, I have to homeschool my grandbaby because my granddaughter's mom, my daughter, she works in a daycare center. So she those essential workers, like she has to go to work, Right. So which means that I will have my grandbaby during the day while she's at school. So I figure that out now. I'm like, okay, so I have to teach my students and my grandbaby. So
exactly.
I'm like, so yeah, I say all that to say not to I'm a little concerned just for the well-being of my own family that I hadn't given that too much thought.
Right. I think a lot of people think it's just the school, the building itself that is causing teachers not to want to go back. They're not looking at the individual children, the family members, because there could be, around 5 different people, and then you're around your child, and then that child, whomever you was around, may have had it or may not. It's you never know. And like I said earlier, a lot of people are having this COVID-19 without having any symptoms. Some are having less symptoms, some are having more symptoms. So when you ask or seeking community teaching or something of that nature, you have to think about those that not only you've been around and your kids been around, but what about the families that you're bringing your children to, to learn. So that might not be a good idea. As far as an individual level, that's still the same thing because you trust the teacher and you may respect the teacher and love the teacher, but you don't know who that teacher is around as far as their own families, as far as their friends, opening up their home. And, so it's not only the protection of the teachers and the teacher's family, but it's also protection of you and your family. So if the child can go to a teacher's house, they could go to the school. The whole thing is nobody knows where the virus is. It's an unseen enemy, and the protection is not to cause harm and, make parents go crazy by making y'all keep your kids at home. It's the protection overall because this virus, 1, there is no cure. 2, people react differently. There's a lot of deaths from this virus. And then there's other viruses that's coming out after it that they keep, we'll
be in the flu season soon. So it's like
they got something called the unknown pneumonia that's out now. That's very, very
about that thing
in the lungs and stuff. So, it's basically you're taking care of your kids and the families of. It's just like wearing a mask, basically. It's both ways. So that's how that question goes. But I do want to ask one question. You guys, as teachers, what do you see as the outcome of all of this? What is your worst fears and what is the best outcome that you see?
Well, I can tell you, my worst fear is losing my babies.
Mm.
I've said from day one, the reason our numbers have not been any higher than they have been with our students is because our governor quickly made a decision to say, stay home.
Right.
My biggest fear is losing one of my babies from COVID-19. And when I
Mm.
say one of my babies, it does not have to be a child that I teach. It doesn't have to be a child that I know. It's the fact that it is a child. I would hate to know that a child went to school, got sick, and passed away. That is my biggest fear. Not that I get sick, that losing one of my babies. The positives that I take out that I can see is that this is going to teach us that we can withstand anything together. It has brought people that you would have never thought that you would had any type of communication, any type of direct contact with. Just never thought that you would have to be in a room together but not together and be able to come up with a plan. And I mean, I'm going into rap world talking about we've come up with a master plan for something that the whole world has been affected by, and we are still able to say, God, I thank you. We're in this together. What can I do to help? It's no blame game. Everybody is dealing with the same thing, and everybody is trying to make it work. So I would say it'll just be the lesson from it is that, I mean, I don't know if there's anything, what else is there besides waiting on the day of awakening when the world comes to the end and whether you're going to be ready. This is proven we there. That's what I get from it is
Yes,
I
Louise,
what
you're
Alicia
absolutely
said,
correct.
a lot of looking outside and working outside the box. It has opened up
Mhm.
windows that I never thought existed inside of me. And then there's other people who think just like I do, and we're on that. Let's just get this done and move forward. You know, you
Yeah.
can't even get mad about the situation. You just got to move forward. And
Yeah.
at the end of the day, it evolves around. I just always say my babies because they're all my babies. That's what that's what I've always said. Even my kids that have graduated, and I see them, I say, "Oh, that was one of my babies from school." And I'm talking about they probably 30 years old now, but that's still one of my babies.
One of the babies, yes.
That's all I can say. But
I agree. I think like this situation, the best scenario, the best things coming out of this is we're learning again, like Alicia put it perfectly. We are working outside of the box, so we're going to learn new ways to educate. You talk about the holistic student and how they learn, and it's forcing us to work outside the box, think outside the box. So I think that's the best case. That's the best thing that's coming out of here. The school systems are going to learn how to manage money more efficiently and see where, okay, money was wasted, perhaps, and say, okay, yeah, you know what, we really didn't need that. We don't need that. You know, we can scale back on that. Hopefully, which would mean more money for proper resources that our students definitely can benefit from.
Right.
The worst, can I be honest?
Yes, please. This is the naked truth.
Don't judge me.
Yeah.
I'm afraid of losing my job.
Because, oh, wow.
Because, I mean, only because the school, because of this situation, like what I just said, we're figuring out, we don't need this, we don't need that. We can scale back on funding for this and that and the third. Maybe we don't need these people.
Shashawn, I'm going to cut you off right now and tell you, baby, you are an essential worker. You are an essential worker. I don't care what nobody says. You are an essential worker. And I can rest assured there is going to be because they have teachers now that are retiring. They have teachers that are changing. They are going to do everything they can to keep everybody that they have, because they know that there are people that are just going to leave, that are just tired, that are burned out with this, because it is remote learning is a lot. We would rather be at school because you work hard doing remote learning because you don't know what's going on with your child at home while you are trying to teach them. as opposed to during your classroom, you see exactly what they're doing, and he's not paying attention to you because somebody's bothering him. Where at home, you don't know if it's because he has to babysit his siblings, he has to, he's having to cook, she's having to do laundry. We don't know what they're doing in between. So I can tell you, we are essential workers, and the last thing I see happening is them. Now, if you just get up out your bed in the morning, cut your computer on, and sit and watch your soaps all day, eventually you may lose your job.
Yes. But yeah, I'd say I was talking to I have two.
Yeah, you're going to be okay.
And I spoke to them, and that's what they were expressing to me. They were like, what do we do? Because so from March until June, our EC higher ups directors were like, IAs can't call the families, they can't do this, they can't do that. All the stuff they can't do, the IAs had to take direction from the principals. So the principal, he's got like the whole school to think about, not this kind of small group of people. So, well, he's offering stuff. Okay, here, come distribute food. Some IAs, they, have health issues. So they were concerned about being near people. They couldn't do just food distribution.
Right.
So, anyways, I say all that to say, so just recently, like I said, we had the EC meeting. The EC directors are now allowing IAs to be more active. Calling and instruction.
Yeah.
So parents, again, if you are listening and you have a special needs student, a special needs child, you be expecting possibly interaction and calls from the instructional assistants. I know for Durham, they have been given permission to assist with the learning. So yeah, if you get an instructional assistant, IA, TA, whatever the term is, if you get one of them, calling or, phoning in with the computer, they're there to instruct and help. So please, be receptive.
And I would want it because, ours were able to do it. What we did with ours, especially for my self-contained babies in elementary school, they just call and read. And the parents would so pleased because you know what? They're that's giving them a break.
Like, that's what I had mine doing, but the EC director was like, no, we can't do that.
I just want to read him or her a book. And they did, and the kids loved it. To hear our paraprofessionals tell us that, that's what they wanted, that parents were pleased with it. But I gotta tell you, some of our best remote learning came from my EC people. The best remote learning came from our EC people because those parents wanted to make sure that their children did not miss out on anything. So they were really, really involved, as opposed to, Shashawn, when DPI put that thing out where they sent the grading scale and grades once whatever they got for the third quarter would be their final grades. So parents like, well, why we got to answer all these calls of these kids got to do work? Y'all not going to grade it. Y'all not going to this. That's what caused a lot of children and parents to check out. Why are they going to even waste it? And teachers were still responsible for lesson plans. They were still responsible for making calls, for following through and doing all of this stuff. And these parents know that it's not, in their mind, it wasn't going to make a difference. But then let me tell you this, and I said it, and I kind of got my hands flat with it with certain people. COVID-19 helped a lot of children graduate high school. And I'm going to leave it at that.
I agree.
It did.
But that was at our staff.
And I can say it. It helped a lot of children graduate high school where they were not passing before. Attendance was a major issue. And now you're out on this where attendance doesn't matter. You're taking this time to get to make up work, to do this, to do that. There was quite a bit of kids that would not have passed had it not been for COVID-19.
Wow.
Yeah. And I know for a fact there are that would not have passed had it not been for that. So that's why we need them. Y'all get on board with us. Attendance, grades, all of that stuff is going to be checked. Teachers are not giving your babies that work just to be doing it. There's an accountability for them. Everybody has to answer to somebody. We have to answer to somebody. I'm more of a compliance person with paperwork, but I still make sure that my teachers are doing what they're supposed to be doing. I communicate with parents beyond what my teachers tell me, because in Fairmont, they'll tell you, if you ask, Michelle knows everybody. So if I get some kind of complaint, I'm going to find out what it's about and what we can do to rectify it before you even get to central office with it. What can we do to stop it, to fix it right here? Because I want us to work together. I don't want us to be pulling against each other. So what can we do to fix the issue right here? And you know, it works for us because we've built those relationships, we've built that trust. And I want you to know that if there's anything that you feel is not right, because you have that right, you're your child's first advocate. You have that right to advocate for your child, because if you don't advocate for them, who else is going to do it? I tell my parents, even with IEP meetings, come to this meeting. Don't let me be the sole decision maker for what your child needs. You come
what I was going to
whatever your baby needs. You be a part of this meeting. Don't let these people that you don't know or your child only sees 1 day a week or 2 days a week decide what's going to happen for them from now through, you know, beyond high school. You come here and you be a deciding factor. And when those babies see you sitting in that classroom and they see you fighting for them, advocating for them, those children will work harder to be successful, to do. Granted, we have our few that fall between the cracks, and it takes us working double time to work it out. But you know, it's the one success story that keeps us going. It's that one success story that keeps us going.
Right. I was definitely going to speak on the meetings, and if the meetings that are being conducted are parents invited to come to those meetings. And I think you just basically identified that. So I would tell all parents, whatever it is, because you can see parents is really going crazy, like I stated earlier. But for them to get a better understanding, instead of the government telling them what's going on, and instead of the mayors and governors telling them what they're going to do and what they're not going to do, they need to be a voice on that particular situation for their children, so that they can even ask those questions. Because if you don't ask those questions at those meetings, after the meeting and after the decision is made, only thing that you're doing is complaining.
Yes.
Because there is nothing that's going to be changed. You did not change. You did not go in. You did not speak your truth, identifying what your concerns are. You know, so that also will kind of calm down the negative nonsense that's going on, because people are honestly thinking that they're just going to throw these kids back into school, and they're not taking any type of precautions, not making any type of preparations. So their mind is, you know, a lot of parents, their information is coming from Facebook, their information is coming from Instagram or other people, and it's not always accurate.
No,
you know, they are
not. It's not.
For the kids, right? They are really, really trying to prepare for, you know, these kids to be and get their education, but also for the safety of it. And the threats that the government, and like I said earlier, I believe that they're empty threats. They cannot hold back the funds to schools because the kids is not being put into, you know, going to class. That's one thing that I think everybody kind of needs to understand, that, you know, so that way that doesn't have to occupy your mindset to think that I got to send them to school, because if that, you know, if I don't send them to school, they're going to close the school down.
Right.
That's more or less fear mongering and bullying from the higher ups. Money has already been delegated to the states. That funding for schooling comes from the local and the state level. It has absolutely nothing to do. Federal government, that's money's been put out there for what we were going to get for the year regardless. Now, whether or not it's been released on the state is a horse of a different color. But, you know, and, you know, even I guess say for me right now in close out, because this is just something that needs to happen. I wish, Casey, more people would do it. I applaud you for it, especially for somebody in the education system. And you are just on point, girl. And I love it. But I guess my takeaway from this would be that parents become actively engaged and involved in any and everything that your child has to endure, considering their education. Whether, I don't care what grade they are, I don't care whether it's just the academic course, whether it's athletics, whether it's having to do with what their lunch number is. You, the parent, needs to always be that advocate, that anytime that child feels questioned, they can go to the parent. And we're not saying fight unnecessary battles, fight something wrong just to say make it right. I mean, be actively involved, because that way when the higher ups start making decisions about your child, they can already say, wait a minute, you can't come at her any kind of way because she own it. She knows all. She knows what
and trust me, we know who's on it.
Yeah, she knows what your child can and cannot do. So don't go in there like that. No, we got to be better prepared when we go step to her. But if you've been that parent that I've never seen until your child gets suspended, any and everything, like you said, Casey, after the decision just becomes complaints.
Exactly.
And when your child sees that you are not or have not been that parent, they don't ever see you in school. They don't always do the best. They're not there to always give their best. But when they can see you and say, I can really call my mom and she can come.
Casey, are you still there?
She just went completely out. She might have lost signal. Because it's still running. But when
well, parents, if you're there, please.
That buy-in is 100%.
We need you, but that doesn't need. We please don't be combative. Like, yes, be your child's advocate, absolutely. But it's not a battle. This is not a fight between parent and teacher. We can work together and help help the teacher understand. Again, I just stress a partnership.
Yes.
Again, like I say, get familiar with Google Classroom or Canvas if that's the route. Get familiar with video chatting, Zoom, or we're still in the summertime now. Try to find something that you can practice how to log in to use via the computer or your phone. Google Classroom, the different classroom platforms, video chatting. Again, we are a partnership. There was one more thing I forgot, but and you know what? Social media is lovely. It's entertaining, but please, and I implore you, read a news article from a reputable source.
Yes, you said what I was going to say. Yes.
Research is key.
Yeah. Research is key. Read from a reputable source, USA Today or whatever your local newspaper is. Read those, don't rely on Facebook or Instagram or anything else.
Or the Inquirer.
Or nothing entertaining. I mean,
and I tell people, if they can maneuver through Facebook, get on the school's website. They put everything on there. If you want to know what's going on, get on the school website. And if you don't know how, please ask. We will not make you judge you or nothing, because we had to learn. We had to learn. And if you can maneuver through Facebook with all the changes that they keep making, you can maneuver through anything. Get on your website.
There's so many resources there for you. So many resources.
Phone number, because we know a lot of people have these prepaid phones, and when you change your number, make sure that the school has your updated information, because those old calls come out and you say, I didn't know. Why didn't you know? And you give me a number and you've had a new number for 6 months. Well, you missed out on a whole lot of stuff. You can't always depend on the kid to share the information. You've got to become actively involved. You've got to get engaged with what's going on in the system. And then if you do that with school, then you'll want to start reaching out and getting involved in the community. You'll want to go beyond the four walls of your home and start seeing what you can do to help others. That communication. And my biggest piece, I'll tell everybody, rules are not fair. Rules are not fair. Rules are rules. People say rules are made to be broken, but this is what I live by. My motto is start out like you intend to hold out and always be consistent in what you do. You will always have the utmost respect for people when you are consistent in what you do. You have to be, and and they know, well, Miss Shawn, she didn't do that for me like she did for him. And then they go back and they will hold that. They will hold you to it. They will hold you to it. And it's a good way to help children with being accountable, is being consistent in what you do. So parents, you're the children's first example that they should follow. And when they know that they have you in their corner, then they begin to reach beyond you and know that they can talk to their teachers. You start establishing that rapport with the everybody involved, all of the stakeholders. Then you would be that person that, schools want to see come. They want to see you help out. But if you're that one that you don't know what's going on and you're mad because you don't know, and then you become very combative, you'll be a person that it doesn't matter what's going on with your child. What you do will affect what happens with your child. And
it's so true. It's very true.
So
and I don't know what's going on with the PTAs in the schools during this time, but I would definitely, if PTA is still going to happen, even on a high school level, especially the high school level, please consider becoming a member of your local PTA and being an active member. Parent, teacher, well, for Southern, it's a parent, teacher, student association. Parents, teachers, and students.
PSA, yes.
So, you know, and then you have PTAs. Consider being a member. And again, I implore the high school level students, the elementary and middle, those parents are like really kind of actively involved and they do stuff. But once the kids get to high school, it really tapers off badly.
Yeah.
And that's when our teachers need a lot of support. Our students, obviously, you know, need a lot of support. So consider, again, I don't know during our COVID time how that's going to look, but if it's still an option, please, yeah, consider that.
I would also say,
Michelle was saying, with community outreach. That is your community, you know.
Community outreach, yeah.
And I also would say, take advantage of all the programs that are out there. You know, if you're struggling, go get food stamps. If you are, and let teachers know, because they may be able to advocate for you for other programs or identify other programs. I don't know if it's because my kids haven't been in school for such a long time, but is there a way that they can get a listing of the other students, or, you know, share information so that parents can get a support group amongst the parents? You know,
now, we are working on that with ours. They don't have the money. They talked about something with being able to fund it, but we actually have one of our program specialists that's working with a group, and they're actually just going to form a parent support group. And then I think she's going to be instrumental in getting it started. And then they just take it, and however they communicate is how they communicate for those resources putting out there. You might have what one does, you know, and I think ours is going to start for us. It's just with our EC parents. But it's still, but now, don't get me wrong, those EC parents are some of the smartest, because they can tell you about NC Teach, about the laws of EC, honey. They can run it down. They will. They know just as much as we do when they know what they're supposed to get for their child.
Right.
So, resource, being able to, you know, you can't. If you have a phone, you have everything you need, because you can Google anything. So you have everything. You just need to make sure that it comes from a reliable source. And when you don't know, I just beg of you parents to reach out in that. You can find me on Facebook, Michelle Sweet Mama Bethay, and anything, whatever it is. And I'm one of those. I don't proclaim to know everything. And when I don't know, I do everything I can to find out.
So
anybody that needs, I will do all I can to find out whatever it is that you need for your baby. I can, especially in North Carolina, I can pretty much help you get to the resources that you need.
And if you, I saw there was a question about like the free and reduced lunch. I'm not sure if that was answered yet in the SNAP card. Well, the schools, typically most schools have a guidance counselor that's there, really, or a social worker that's present on site, and they can definitely help with a lot of that. So utilize those resources as well. The people, you know, kind of stop short on teacher, just think about teacher and principal, but there's all these other people in between.
Yeah.
I really have answers for you. So I would definitely, and like I said, I'm not sure if that question was answered yet about the
But, you know, to piggyback on top of that, those who are, and see, I think those who are already receiving assistance are getting additional food stamps for their children being home. What I need to add, because I spoke with a lot of parents prior to, and they, those that are not on assistance, apply. You can get those extra food stamps. Don't think that you make too much money when your child is sitting at home or your children are sitting at home. Apply, and everything is done online right now. You know, and if they tell you you do make too much money, they will give you a listing of churches and programs that will provide additional food into your household. Don't think that because of all of this that you have to put out more money. You know, the government's assistance and all of these programs, the CARES Act, and they're now trying to work on the HEROES Act. Go get your funds, because everybody is suffering. Don't let your pride or your ego get in the way, because you have to put your children first. You know, I would rather you feed your child a full meal than peanut butter and jelly sandwiches just because you're running out of funds. You know, so when you take advantage of all of those programs, along with the programs that the schools is advising, I think we can all work together for the betterment of the students. right?
Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and final word. What is the word that you would like to leave our members and those that will be watching later as far as the teacher's perspective?
Wow. Okay. So again, I ask all the families, everyone that's involved, please. It's a partnership. We are all working for the well-being of our children. Your children, your child is my child. Their well-being is my priority. So it's a partnership. Definitely utilize all the resources. I know it's kind of like a lot of information we gave. So if you have any questions or anything, Casey, I don't want to put you out there, but ask Casey in case you.
Well, I'm going to put the additional information on the page, but I'm also going to tag you guys so that way you can also follow the information. So if it's something that I cannot answer, I will definitely make sure, because you guys are 2 out of multiple. We got over 400 members on our page. So I'm pretty sure that there are multiple teachers that can. That's what the whole page is for us. Each one teaches one, and we all learning and teaching each other. And that's what I wanted to bring to this platform, because I do believe that your voices need to be heard, and the parents' voices also need to be heard. So if there's any questions, please feel free to tag it on the picture. I have also posted a teacher's talk discussion, outside of what we're doing, the live table talk. So either way, we'll get the answers to you as soon as possible. And if you don't know how to research the information, please put that up there too, because we do some research. I sit here at the computer all day and research. Mm-hmm. I research, and I research. So, that is what we're here for. Michelle?
Mine would just be my 3 things is for my parents to be actively involved, active communicators, and be consistent. I don't know any other way I don't know a simpler way to put it. If they would utilize those 3 things, be involved, communicate, and be consistent, that the partnership that Shoshana is talking about will be 100% successful.
Awesome. And I'm going to leave this as the teacher's talk, and we may even have a part 2. I thank you, ladies, for joining us, and I thank you all.
This is awesome. Yeah. That's a voice.
Of course. Have any other topics that y'all want to bring to the table? Let it be known, because that's what we're here for. Gotcha. You guys have a good day, and I'm going to go ahead and end this with a bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.